Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Last Minute Kickout. I am Pete Titans Creed Nethercoat, as always, joined by my wrestling cohorts in crime. One, Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva. How you doing, sir?
Hello.
And one, Mr. John Turbo Finley. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right there.
He's doing all right with the finger guns. He's not even wearing his Mick Foley shirt this week.
Bang.
As always, thank you very much if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on iTunes. I got it right this week. Huzzah, who knew? Only took 2 times to get it right. We are talking about Extreme Rules 2018, which happened this recent week. And I, for one, thought it was a pretty decent show, as I'm sure my co-hosts will agree. Although there are parts that were not as good as others. We will start very quickly with the pre-show, which I, for one, thought it was actually a pretty decent pre-show compared to previous pay-per-views. We'll start with Andrade Cien Almas versus Sin Cara. Pretty much a rematch of their show, of the match they had on the previous SmackDown, but unfortunately, I don't think it was as good as the one they did on SmackDown. Thoughts, guys?
I kind of skipped on the match in general because I'm just not invested with Cien Almas, even though he's had a decent year so far back on NXT, where he had that 5-star match with Johnny Gargano at that one takeover. I've forgotten which takeover it was, but really, I'm not invested with the guy because, of course, like with most of the call-ups recently this year, he's been underutilized and he's just not been featured quite well. And it's just because there's just so many people on the roster now that it's becoming harder to kind of like do that. But
I think it's the same that can be said for most of the NXT call-outs. I mean, they've literally only just done something with Sanity and a few of the other call-ups recently as well. So
They've just remembered that Authors of Pain got called up.
Yeah.
They remembered after about 2 months that...
Yeah.
What are these guys sitting here? Are they members of the crew? Oh, they're the Authors of Pain. Oh, best put them out there. No, Almas is the walking definition of creative as nothing for you, unfortunately, since his come up. And I don't even understand what the feud is.
The feud is basically he is the best Spanish/Mexican,
okay.
And he's just pissed off all of the luchas on the.
Okay, so his figures, haha, I am better than you because haha, I don't have a mask.
I'm surprised Lucha Party hasn't come into the fray from 205 Live.
So I just hope he gets very annoyed anytime he hears Kalisto come on and start going lucha, then starts throwing things backstage. How dare he say that word?
Yeah.
But
it was as I said, it was an okay match. It just wasn't as good as their one that they literally had on SmackDown this week.
That's what I've been hearing as the general consensus. So, yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, the biggest problem this match had, and it's very prevalent with a lot of what happens throughout most of this pay-per-view, is it's quite easy to tell who's going to win. Like, you're not going to see Sin Cara win over Almas on Almas's first pay-per-view appearance. It's just not going to happen. So it's quite easy to determine who's going to win just off the back of it. It's annoying to be able to forecast it quite so well and quite so easily. There are a few mysteries that happen, but yeah, I mean, what's going to happen? It's a shame. It was very quick, over very quickly, and everything else. And I think we should just move on to a match I wasn't actually expecting on the pre-show, which was the New Day versus Sanity in a tables match.
Yeah, this was very surprising. I thought this would be, main card material, being that it's the New Day, who are still hot, regardless of their position. So
I thought it would open the show, if anything, but.
Well, I think a lot of changings was going around from what I've been hearing on the backstage
The dirt
everyone's
sheets.
been hearing on the backstage news where Vince wasn't even at the show. He was too busy with other things, so he was kind of like, you know.
I mean, that has to be with the XFL coming up. That has to be the basic thing now. Like, people have to expect Vince to not be there now.
But,
and apparently
but the
it was
XFL won't interfere with WWE. I'm pretty certain they said that. Nothing to do with the wrestling will be affected by the XFL. The wrestling's just paying for it.
It's like that comment he made at that conference. Yeah, it's totally coming right back to bite him in the ass.
No.
But no, from several things had to be changed up, and I think this was probably a mistake on the whoever was fully in charge of that. I think it was like Triple H was in charge of organizing the matches and whatnot. So I think it was kind of like a, you know, bad.
I think
if it was him, it was bad. It was a bad call to do this match here.
I don't agree. That's the thing. If you look at the rest of the card, like the main card, you don't want to take we don't want to put any belt matches, championship matches on the pre-show. Like, that shit needs to be done with. All championships should be on the main show. So if you take that away, what matches are you gonna have? You've got Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley. That's not gonna be on a fucking pre-show. You've got Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens in a steel cage. That's not going to be on the pre-show because that's a marquee match. And then you've got Balor versus Corbin. Now, because the match was essentially, you know, it had no point to be on the card. Maybe it should have been on the pre-show, but because of the caliber and the actual draw power of those people, they wouldn't put them on the pre-show. And the New Day are so good at what they do. They don't care whether they're on the pre-show or the main card. They'll go out and have a barnstormer regardless.
That's true. That's true, because we have had them and the Usos on pre-show beforehand in previous.
Yeah, they've done better than some main event matches.
And then we had 4 hours disappointment afterwards.
Yeah,
because nobody could reach them.
Yeah, but no. Overall, with the match itself, it was actually decent for the amount of time that they had.
Yes.
I was disappointed that the rules were it was only one member of each team needed to go through a table and that would end the match rather than every member.
I think it was a time conservation piece.
Yeah.
But overall, it wasn't bad. It was enjoyable to watch, and again, just like other things, Sanity weren't going to lose this on their first proper pay-per-view.
No, they needed to get some traction after abysmal way they've been treated on SmackDown.
I wouldn't say it's abysmal. They've been wrecking house. They just haven't been winning matches.
Well, they haven't been fired. Yeah, they haven't had the same impact as what the Wyatts had when they first debuted.
True, but I think that you can have an impact in a way where you don't have to win a match, though. It's nice. It's nice to walk in and have wins under the belt, but to keep going. And especially with the way that WWE likes to be announcing with they're undefeated. Who's going to take them down?
What was the same with the Shield when they were a unit and whatnot? They were just coming in and just wrecking shit. Same for the Nexus. The Nexus was just coming in and just wrecking shit, and they weren't actually winning matches. They were just causing havoc. And
there was no Nexus,
and then
John.
When they had their first match.
There was no Nexus, and there never was. They met John Cena and they all ceased to be, every single last one of them, and we don't mention it anymore.
Indeed, but yeah,
they all died or went to Defiant Wrestling. All of that's it now.
Wait, where's my neuralizer? I think it's in my jeans.
Defiant and World of Sport apparently as well. So.
The less said about the poster they've done for that card, the better, I think. So I thought it was overall a very enjoyable pre-show. Very, very good, especially the promo that Ziggler did. That was really enjoyable to watch as well.
I totally missed that actually, so I'll need to rewatch that then.
Yeah, it was very, very good. But yeah, we should move on to the main pay-per-view, which was the deleters of worlds versus the B team. Can someone explain to me why the B team can have the worst shirts in the world but the most amazing music? I'm still baffled.
Yeah, the music is really good. They're basically the Job Squad with a push, which I quite like.
Wow!
I love it. It's not so much the front; it's the back of the shirt, where it says the B stands for best. Yeah. What's Al's doing something now, isn't he?
He's only OVW.
Oh, he's OVW now, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he owns it now.
Yeah, because he bought OVW, which is great. Because, not being funny, if the kids down there would have anyone to coach them, Al's probably an absolutely ideal choice. And if they can't get him, maybe Avatar. But yeah, Deletes the Worlds versus the B team, and I think this was the best choice to actually kick off the pay-per-view proper, because the crowd was hot. They were into all the deletes and everything, and
the biggest problem this match had is at the very beginning we were going to see Wyatt versus Dallas, and the crowd were hot for it, and then they just tagged out, and then they just left it, and when they got back into the ring later on, nobody really wanted it. We've all been waiting for it for so long, and
they did some really nice subtle stuff with that.
Yeah.
Because whilst it happened, and I love that they did the big delay. Matt did sort of the big delay on the tag, and it only was when Bray yelled at him, "Tag me!" That he eventually then tagged. And everyone was good for it. There was even a very, 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 very faint Mike Rotunda chant, which I thought was great. But yeah, the crowd dug it, but after that tag, after the tag out, Curtis Axel came in and Bray almost decapitated Curtis. It was a meaty clothesline, but all the way through that, while he's picking Curtis Axel up and he's doing moves on him, every time he's looking back at Bo. All the way through that sequence, it's like he was doing stuff, but he kept turning around, kept looking back, and there was still this sort of eye contact all the time between them. So it's saving things for another day, maybe. But it was
Well,
it was a nice little, But it was a nice little psychological thing, because they played on it, but it's like in fairness, this is Extreme Rules, and certain things are not for you. Extreme Rules. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a Pittsburgh crowd, isn't it? I mean, they're going to be generally hot as it is. But yeah,
there going to be a lot of other things in them later on.
We'll get to this.
But yeah, the match it was very quick for what it was, and it felt like a lot of this card was very fast in its matches.
I will agree that the speed of how it went and how quickly it ended.
It's not a bad thing, because it keeps things going very quickly, like all the time.
Yeah, because this was close to a 4-hour show, but it was like just over 3.5 hours. This one, so to them, trying to keep it, closely together with the match times and whatnot, and trying to keep them at a certain hour, especially for the main event later on. It's all right, but it just boils down to the fact, don't book so many matches in one night. I
mean, again, cross-branded pay-per-views, it's gonna happen, I think. But I don't know.
That's gotta be the problem going forward. Yeah.
Well, I mean, SummerSlam is going to be 5 hours plus pre-show at this point. So
yeah.
I hope everybody's looking forward to being up until 5 o'clock in the morning in Europe. That's going to be fun. But yeah,
I have no time for this. Can we have like SummerSlam and then like divide SummerSlam into a SummerSlam, and then we'll have Autumn Fest or something. And
no, we have SummerSlam and then we have the Raw after SummerSlam.
Autumn Suplex.
But But yes, the B team pulling out a surprising win. Nobody was expecting them to get the win for the titles, so
No,
the B team continued their touted
dominance.
undefeated streak.
The B team getting the win off of Bo's finishing move, which no one knows what
Yeah.
it is, but it's basically a rope draping
elevated-
crossroads. Is what it is.
An elevated whiplash
Yeah.
is what they're calling it.
Oh, and then
Yeah,
whiplash.
not
It was a
properly.
neck
But-
breaker on the initial call.
Yeah.
So
So, is it me, or have Hardy and Wyatt seemingly turned heel off the back of this? Like, just because Dallas and Axel seem to be so over, like the other two have just turned heel.
I have a theory about this. I don't think they've turned heel. I mean, it's turned the B team face, but I mean they're pretty much face anyway. But I have a theory about what this is all in store now for the Deleters of Worlds, and I'll bring up that theory later on.
All right.
Fair enough.
No, I just thought it is gonna be the small dissension gonna be forming since now the Deleters of Worlds are no longer the world tag team champions or whatever. However, Hardy.
They're upset. Certainly,
Yeah, true,
I think-
but it's like the promo that happened on Raw, and it's been happening this way for a little while, is that instead of the glass crack and then the light with Hardy into the darkness with Wyatt, it's just pure darkness. Like Wyatt's darkness is just seeping back in, and it's like clouding Hardy. I'm not
Again.
sure if that's the way they're gonna play it.
again, this plays into something later.
but- okay.
Alright.
But yeah, we'll move on to Finn Balor versus the self-appointed Constable of Raw, Baron Corbin.
Where's his uniform? Yeah.
He left it at Arby's.
What's his PC number?
It's the Mid Card Club versus Chief Sean Morley's tribute act. It's if you remember that. You know, nothing says being a lone wolf like the police. There's
Have you not
so
seen
many
every
contradictions with
cop
Corbin
movie
now.
that
It's just
goes on?
ridiculous.
It's like, have you not seen Lone Wolf McQueen?
But yeah, can I just be very? I'm just so very tired of this. I'm so tired of us back to the big man versus the small man shtick. It's
Yeah, it's
very.
I
boring.
can't believe
Even-
they just took that from the Big Cass Brian feud. Just
They just supplanted it.
Control P, control.
I mean, even with fucking Balor getting the small package for the win, just to really stick that dagger in, I'm just so tired of it.
Corbin
actually, I'm
yelled out he's too small at a couple of points in it. It's like, what the
I'm
fuck?
actually surprised that what was it, the joke from, I don't know if Wrestle Talk did do this joke for the feud. It's like Control C, Control V, aha. It's like, I don't know why they haven't done that one, or they did and I probably missed it. But yeah, it's just really annoying how it was just basically Finn is treated as the small guy and whatnot. It's like, and here's the
I
thing,
also-
it's like,
I also just can't take Finn seriously in any promo with his just ridiculously stupid smile, just every
Yes.
time. I just
He
can't
is-
take
he
him
is-
seriously.
He's got
that-
a grin that would very much work as a heel.
He could very much just.
Which-
If he was a heel, then that's a shit-eating grin, and he's a smug
which
bastard,
was
and you can hate
which
him
was
for
very close to him being a heel. If him and Gals and Anderson were still together on Raw, then yes, we would have had that heel Finn Balor and whatnot, and as the OGBC being there and whatnot. But no, they had to nix that after the shakeup. Honestly. But yeah, but also another thing I'm totally missing is Balor being the demon. We haven't seen him being demon for
I mean,
a long time.
Yeah, but
but of course, I know this wasn't gonna be a match
Special
where the demon would
occasions,
need
yeah.
to come out, obviously. But no, it's just
you've got to remember the demons probably it might not even come out at SummerSlam. It'll probably only be a WrestleMania thing now, and even then,
he wasn't even. It wasn't there this WrestleMania.
yeah. Well, did you see the length for the ramp at WrestleMania? Can you imagine how long Balor's entrance would be?
Oh God! Did you
Maybe-
sliver over?
Maybe you could have got some like Heelys, but in his knee pads. So he just sort of like
just
do
just lie. No, you'd be lying on a Roomba. Just have a Roomba, just let him go out like that.
or
I mean-
even better, he just actually turned into one of the Wheelers from Return to
From
Oz.
But yeah,
Come here, Corbin.
I think it's quite easy to say that this was a very boring non-match.
Yeah, well, it was quite boring at times. I mean, granted, you had the typical spots from Corbin being able to, the impressive slide under the ring and run back in again. Great endurance there, Corbin. Just wish you can just put that energy into anything else. But yeah,
The big problem with this match isn't that it was Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor. It wasn't the problem wasn't Balor. The problem wasn't Corbin. The problem was Stephanie McMahon, because this match was basically ooh, authority, Stephanie McMahon. We've got to keep Stephanie McMahon in the story somehow. Because
McMahon
dear
family
God,
politics.
we can't go for 5 minutes without her. Apparently, there's a bunch of weird stuff in the match. Actually, going back to the first one, the production for some reason was a bit off at the beginning. I don't know if anybody else thought that, but when the B team won, their music, dear God, it was like deafening and completely drowned out the crowd practically. And when Finn came out and did his da 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 do da, his lightning things, he came out to practically normal lighting. So when he does that now, it sort of lost its impact that it had in NXT, because the whole point was that it was quite dark, and then he sort of brought in the light, as opposed to he walked out in a normal lighting. And is that him?
Probably. My headset just
Hello?
went mental.
Finn? Oh, you thought the lighting was crap as well? Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. But yeah, it all seemed a bit weird and out of sync. So what's Corbin doing wrestling in a shirt?
Well,
Oh,
his suit.
Suit.
Essentially.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
you got to
it didn't work
remember,
for Jack Gallagher.
he's a
Come on.
big guy that works.
Is he a
for
big
the
guy?
corporation. Yes, he's a big guy.
Is
that
he a
works
big
for the
guy?
corporation.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, just like Corporate Kane, he has to wrestle in his.
Because
corporate-
that
Yes,
made
slack.
sense. Oh, jeez.
corporate wrestling attire. Didn't
Yeah.
you know?
There was that. Cole made a weird comment
Oh, really?
about the astoundingly, he said something along the lines of that Corbin has a big advantage because he was quote unquote homegrown. And he came in via the WWE in the Performance
Sorry,
Center.
I'm just gonna go water my Corbin. Sorry.
Exactly.
I'm gonna grow my Corbin.
Exactly. Remember to dump plenty of fresh manure.
Yeah, McMahon family manure.
No. He just needs to pick up the phone to Stephanie McMahon and then just open his mouth and he manures himself.
But so yeah, so he kind of suggested that like the people that he had an advantage over, obviously Finn, because Finn had learned his craft around the world, but that somehow that was lesser because he was a straight WWE guy, which was a bit weird. There was a nice moment where Corbin got a 2 count, and he got right in John Cone's grill about it, and they had a real proper argument about it, a sort of a Trips Hepner style yelling,
Yeah.
which was I quite like it when the refs actually stick up for themselves and don't back down.
Yeah, that needs to happen more often.
Yeah. Apparently, Ronda Rousey, because at the beginning of the pay-per-view, we had a nice video package of everybody in the thing, and the highlight of the women's championship match, we were told, was the fact that Ronda Rousey was at ringside and Nia Jax was barely mentioned in to do with that match. But we interrupted this match. Cole interrupted to say that Ronda Rousey was very impressed because she's been Instagramming throughout, so she's not paying attention. Is what you're saying to me, Cole?
Just like half of the audience.
Indeed. And you know the thing
Sorry, Kev. I just want to interrupt. I'm just gonna take a picture quickly.
That's okay.
Right, all right.
That's
continue
okay.
on.
Thank you,
Sorry,
thank you, Rhonda, for being vidcast side. But you know the worst thing about this, you trying to call Finn Balor again? Stop it.
No, I was just sending out my thoughts.
Stop it. Look. If no, okay, you'll just get through to the demon, and then it'll take 12 months for him to get back to you. So, the worst thing about this match, that deep 6.
It wasn't very clean, was it?
It was the most theatrical fake deep 6 I think I've ever seen. And I love me the deep 6. In fact, we all do.
You
We all
You
do.
mean the fact that Deep 6 should be his finish.
The deep 6 should be his
Yeah.
but he sort of picked him up and then sort of went, whoa!
Yeah, but you know why that is, don't you? It's because Finn Balor was too small.
He was so light. He started doing that, and then he thought, "Oh my god, he's floating away!" And then he sort of went back, and then got him back down again.
But he is under 200
I like the
pounds,
idea.
so-
I like the idea. He's swung him round and he's just gone. Woo!
Before he was doing the hammer. And away he goes. Finn Balor, 70 meters. It's a new world record, everybody. But it looks so fake. And normally that move has got such impact, you think that the guy's been dead and his spine's in bits, but no, it was pretty much a scoop up, round and round, ring a rosy, and then a relatively light plant down, and it was shit, frankly.
I mean, if we want to talk about something that's fake and looks like shit, let's move on to Carmella defending the women's championship against Asuka with Mr. Jimmy Ellsworth in a shark cage. Remember, guys, when we didn't see a shark cage?
We didn't see a shark in 25 years.
Jericho and Owens brought it back in a match, and they made it look decent.
No, they
and
didn't.
we've seen
Mattel
twice
brought
from-
it back.
Yeah. Well,
That had nothing to do with anything. Mattel brought it back.
I don't
Yeah.
think Mattel could have brought it back for this third time and advertised it as, see James Ellsworth in a shark cage. Make it look like the real WWE.
Look, after the last time it was used, I was just absolutely delighted at the end of this match to be able to say on this show, if you've not seen this yet, I promise you, James Ellsworth does not have lube. Okay? You're safe to see it. It's not an Enzo situation.
yeah.
It's almost an Enzo situation. Not that kind of Enzo situation. But
James Ellsworth's consensual penis.
oh god. Oh god. But yeah, they're still trying to sort these things.
But yeah, I mean, this match was. How do they go from building Asuka up all the way through NXT to WrestleMania to lose the streak? Okay, fine, she's lost the streak, but then she's still dominant and she's still a strong character to then go through this entire program with Carmella and just look weak as shit.
Because, Pete, no one is ready
For a shark
Road
cage?
Dogs booking.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just pissed off now.
It's
Like
just-
at first, I was fine with the loss at WrestleMania. I was okay with the loss at Money in the Bank, even though it was very stupid. This time, it's the third time, third strike. You've totally screwed Asuka. Now you've screwed Asuka as bad as Shinsuke Nakamura, and we'll get to his redemption sooner or later.
So
soon
what you're saying is that we should make Oscar the cruiserweight champion.
Yes, make her the cruiserweight champion.
Why the
Fucking
hell
4-5
not?
live for it.
At this point,
First female cruiserweight champion. Go for it.
it was weird. There was Mike Chioda at the beginning of the match when they were sorting out Ellsworth into the cage. The camera focused him for a second, and it looked like it aged 20 years in the time they'd taken to actually get things sorted. He looked like a man who thought, I am too old for this shit.
It is quite a dangerous situation, which we would later get into that match where Ellsworth, quickly firstly, no time passing for, the distraction or get the weapons out, bring it on down and whatnot, and then eventually escaping the cage.
Here's the thing. Ellsworth didn't do his normal coming out with a spring in his step when they came out on down the ramp, which has obviously put something astray. So you knew that they were going to do something heelish and dodgy. The biggest thing that stood out to my mind when watching this match is the cage was way lower to the actual ring.
I'm thankful that Asuka and Carmella didn't have any spots that involved the top turnbuckle in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that did limit what was going to happen in the match, and it was very evident of what was going to happen.
Yeah, it's my biggest concern is that WWE is a very lucrative company, and the way they booked the finish with Ellsworth hanging out of the cage, and you could see the harness and see him attached to the
that
cage,
was unfortunate.
It was comical, and for a company that should have the amount of money, they just shouldn't make it look like dog shit. Like, they need to try and suspend our area of disbelief.
Yeah, they are putting their money in the wrong places when it comes to their product.
I'll give the commentary team this. They gave it a good go in trying to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
They said, "What is he? Was he wearing a flak jacket to protect himself?"
Well,
that was
the first time I saw it. I thought it was what he was holding the weapons in around his chest. But
yeah, okay, obviously it was a harness.
It was just a little bit garbage. It was nice to see Asuka get a little bit of payback while he was hanging, and then after the match. But it just seemed like the whole purpose of it was the shark cage was there just to push Asuka into it, and apparently Asuka's biggest weakness is a steel cage to the face.
If you stun Oscar for about 3 seconds, you can beat her. All you've got to do is just surprise her, and then everything's fine. Then she'll just freeze, apparently.
Well, that was it when Ellsworth came back.
Yeah.
Ellsworth looked like Asuka, stunned her, got rolled up.
Exactly.
Well, stunned her for a good Ice Age. that moment. But yeah.
The best bit of that match. The best bit of that match.
Granted, I just don't like Carmella I just don't like Carmella as a whole, and the sooner she's outside of this championship program, the better. And hopefully that'll happen at SummerSlam.
I disagree. I think she plays the heel champion very well.
But she's just not bringing matches that's appealing.
Yeah, but that's not her. That's not just on her. It's the way the booking has been done, as Kev has said. But it's also, it needs to be down to them to stand up and go, we don't think this is going to work. Let us do this. If they actually had the chance and they actually probably wrestle a very good match. Sure, put in a real heelish way to win. When Ellsworth came back, that was really good and really well done. Yeah, even though we all knew Ellsworth was coming back, it was done very well. They can wrestle a match. They can do it. It's just they really had to put in all these shit things to try and take Ellsworth out of the equation again.
Carmella is ideal as this chicken shit heel champion.
Yes.
However, the way she's being booked and the situation is being booked, instead of us getting annoyed at Carmella for constantly escaping the situation, wanting Carmella to get what's coming to her, we're actually just annoyed with the booking because it's not helping anybody in this situation. It really isn't. It's not helping Carmella get over as this antagonist. It's
sure as hell not helping Asuka.
It's muddy. It's not. Yeah, poor Asuka is in such a situation. Some of those kicks to Ellsworth were pretty hard. Pretty hard. There might have been some very genuine frustration boiling in there, I think. But yeah,
Asuka was itching to give him a good kicking. You know,
oh god,
she's not really had that opportunity since she joined WWE. She used to do it all the time when she was in Japan. Like,
yeah, it was. I kind of. There was I think one of the reasons why it was so low was obviously we had rather heavy stuff being dropped down.
That plus, I think it was just safety precaution.
Just says safety because that the chain was a chain.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it's made no sense.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I just think we need to step away. Like, I reckon this could very well have been an Extreme Rules match if the Raw Women's title was an Extreme Rules already. Yeah. I think it's what it probably would have turned into. There'll be something else. There'll probably be a Lumberjill match, I imagine, and that'll be the only way they can really step forward and keep
mess.
Yeah, well, but it will stop Carmella fucking around outside. It will stop Ellsworth getting involved. I think it's the only legit way that they can have a clean match finish. Yeah. And I mean, I think what is it? Night of Champions is after SummerSlam at some point, which would lead into Asuka versus Ronda Rousey, which could be very interesting to watch.
It could be very interesting to watch as Asuka's pinned after being surprised by Shayla Baszler or somebody just appearing going boo.
Oh god. Anyway, let's move on from this.
No, let's not move on. No, because there's two things. Was the big news coming out of this match was the fact that Carmella had apparently signed for the LA Lakers, which was after the big news about them signing LeBron James, her to come out clearly in the Los Angeles Lakers kit was quite something.
I'm not sure if this is sarcasm or that you're talking truth here. What?
No,
the truth will set you free.
Our truth is not around to set me free anymore, I'm afraid.
No. But I think he's just talking about Carmella's color.
Yeah, she was purple on yellow, and she was very Lakers. Which was a bit
I didn't notice.
But the best bit of the entire match was the throwing it over to the announce teams, and we had the Hindi team who did their bit, and then ended with Extreme Rules, boom, exactly, back to back, boy band style.
Yeah. They did that at the last one as well.
Oh, good, did they?
Yeah.
No,
I totally missed that. Oh god.
They went Extreme Rules the last pay-per-view as well.
No, they went.
We got it right this time.
I wonder.
We've got a 1 in 12 chance of getting this pay-per-view name right. You know.
13.
I wonder if one of the other announcement teams will obviously be like taking pose like winning poses from Sonic Mania or whatever, and just
fine.
One goes like this, or actually no, it's like someone does blooming Bruce Forsyth's pose next. Just like
we don't
Somebody-
don't see the other commentator teams often, and it's nice to see them. You know, even if it's and they get a bit of flavor added to them. It's fine.
Well, of course. The
no.
major one that gets a lot of flavor is Funaki, because everyone
that's
knows.
because everybody knows Funaki.
I think you'll find that's because that he is number one announcer.
Number one.
SmackDown announcer. Yes.
SmackDown, Raw, dual pay-per-view, number one announcer. That's what he does. But yeah, we moved on from there. Oscar ends just holding her head because we're back to holding her head from smashing on the shark cage, and we go into
Jeff Hardy losing the United States Championship to Shinsuke Nakamura.
the taint tickler.
Well, okay. So when we saw the interview earlier in the night, I said to myself, Shinsuke has to win. It's the way he can redeem himself off the back of this. I found out after the pay-per-view, I think I found out today that Jeff Hardy was taking time off with some back problems, because that's why he's not been swanton bombing and everything.
He's
else.
had all sorts of injury issues, yeah.
Yeah. So he hit just before the match started, he hit the nut shasa into the bell ringing to hit the Kinshasa, and then straight into a pin. Then Randy Orton appears. Yay! I mean, I was quite enjoying the lack of Mr. Boredom incarnate. For him to come back, stare at somebody with a look of boredom, to then take the longest nut kick in the world. Fucking hell, I'm bored of Orton already. He hasn't even been
and he's turned heel as well.
But
so,
he heard voices in his head. They told him he needs to come back because he's had his break.
Heel Orton will probably be fantastic. Absolutely.
But it's just he's now in super slow-mo mode now, and it's getting
slow. He's old. Just fuck off, Orton. Just retire.
I think
retire, damn it. Yes.
But I think you mean he's slow like a snake, and he's boring like a snake.
Snakes are not slow.
And he's takes the longest nut shot ever,
I'll tell you
a
this
snake, because everything he does is like a snake, apparently. Unless
he grows his hair out a little bit more and starts being a little more kind of like devilish with his promos, he's not turning into Jake the Snake Roberts anytime soon.
No one should turn into Jake the Snake Roberts.
Right.
No.
I think heel Orton is good. He's wanting to be He wanted to turn heel for the longest time.
He hates being face, so yeah.
We'll see how he does, but I don't think it's going to change the way he acts on the mic as he has done recently. He's still going to be very dull to listen to, and he's still going to be very boring to watch. Because regardless of whether he's a face or a heel, his moveset will remain the same.
Randy Orton as a face is Randy Orton. Randy Orton playing a heel is Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton being all mysterious tweener is Randy Orton. The man is just that. It's just whatever.
Yeah. He is now Mr. Blander.
It's whatever commentary wants to paint him at the time.
The last time Orton was enjoyable to watch was when he was doing his Legend Killer phase, and when he was doing that whole versus Triple H, where he punted the boss's head and then punted Shane's head and nearly went to
DDT'd and kissed Steph and Trips looked like he was actually going to murder him.
It was fun because he was actually playing up to the I'm mentally unstable, and it showed in the way he acted in the ring. It showed how he was on the mic.
He changed his demeanour very much on that basis.
This is just Orton in a bad mood, and Orton in a not a bad mood, and it's just...
What was it he said? He had like explosive disorder or something. They said,
no, I can't remember.
I don't think they'll be able to do that anymore. But
no, not with the way that mental illness is tracked and everything else.
So there we go. Jeff goes off into the sunset for a while. Would you now like to hear the theory?
Oh, okay.
You think he's going back to Raw?
I think that this is the perfect opportunity to do the thing that Jeff actually wants to do, which is do Brother Nero.
Yeah.
It would make sense in the storyline. We know that Jeff's got not just his back, but other issues as well that just haven't healed properly. So he's gone and had his time off, and he was wrestling, as you mentioned, on the house shows and wasn't doing the Swanton because, well, he was actually being sensible for once and just winning with a twist of fate. And this gives him the opportunity now. The person who has effectively taken him out is Mr. Randy Orton. So you also now have Matt and Bray not doing anything. You mentioned how things seem to be getting a little bit darker, like somehow Bray's influence has grown and the light of deletion seems to have dimmed a little bit. What if we have some vague continuity going on here and we use the situation with Jeff's being ill, Jeff being, he's run down, he's injured, he doesn't feel like he performing, he's down on himself because he shouldn't have been so reckless. That's just the key word. He shouldn't have been so reckless as to go and accept that match. Whatever, he should have taken his time. Why did he let him sort of pride go into the match? Excellent time to shove him in the lake of reincarnation, come out as the more vicious and less likely to do extreme shit Brother Nero, because that's the whole thing with Matt trying to prevent him from being a spot monkey.
Yeah.
We rented Jeff Hardy's vessel back into the incarnation. We bring out the vessel of Brother Nero, and then we have House Hardy together, but we have Bray there in the background still doing his thing and making plans. We move forwards to probably have an ultimate deletion match in there somewhere. But Jeff's thing is he wants to get back at Orton now, because obviously the idea that he comes back and there's Jeff's natural feud will either be Shinsuke, but that sort of Orton coming in kind of took away from that. Jeff wants to get Orton. Who else wants to get Orton? Bray. Bray's not forgotten. Orton was the one who took apart the Wyatt family. Bray then uses the House Hardy and sort of twists it and uses the Hardys as his instrument, as his new Wyatt family, without really them not necessarily being aware, to go after Orton. And you can have it as you can still have the Hardy. You have the Hardys being face, and then you can just over time it becomes obvious that Bray's the one being the old puppet master.
The only problem is that obviously they're on separate brands at the moment. Do you think they would have to incorporate all this onto one brand, or do you think they would actually be able to work it over the two?
They could slow build this. I mean, the fact that if Jeff is off the road, they can do this in vignettes and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Hardy stuff works a lot better in the storytelling stuff in the vignettes, as we've seen to build up the story. That works well, as we saw on Impact. So it would be a good way of doing it. It keeps keeps Jeff in the story and keeps that bubbling along. Orton can still do his thing and continue to be a dick. And then, hey, we've got cross-branded pay-per-views. Start something with the cross-branded pay-per-views and then have it go clash all the way to the pay-per-views.
As part of that, like I do see where you're going. I don't think WWE Creative is nearly as smart as what you are.
Especially if it's two separate teams.
Yeah.
And they're not talking to each other half of the time.
I thought the whole point with Jeff Hardy taking on this face painting thing recently was to try and revive. What was the name of his character that he was doing before?
Willow.
Willow.
Yeah, I thought it was a Willow throwback.
It was I think it was a bit of a nod towards Willow, that face paint, but no, I don't. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Willow.
Right. Well, what was it? Before Willow or after Willow? I can't remember. It's like the Enigma something Enigma was his gimmick, where he had the face paint and whatnot.
There was also the weird marijuana head guy who was with the weed whacker and stuff.
I mean, essentially, this could be good for Jeff. Having some time away and trying to reinvent himself. I think Extreme Hardy, it needs to die. It doesn't work with current...
And then this is again the great way of transitioning from Team Extreme Jeff and making Brother Nero again, continuing on that idea of Matt being against his extreme nature and being a spot monkey.
I think the way that it needs to work is that they need to be on the same brand for a start, but then they need to be able to work it like they did, from my small knowledge of how it worked in TNA, but they need to work it as if they're the sickness in the brand and work it as if they are slowly polluting it and working outwards and like taking control away from it. And it might work better on SmackDown because I think they'll have a little bit more freedom there than they would do on Raw to do something.
I agree.
But it could work. And like it, if they could like control SmackDown with McMahon gone and just Paige there and just I don't know, having a corrupted Paige as part of House Hardy, that could work.
That'd be interesting. I mean, also if you stick them all on SmackDown, then you've got Sanity, the New Day, and House Hardy.
It could be really interesting watching that fold out. But yeah, fantasy booking, which I think we said we wouldn't do, and we just ended up doing.
Yeah, but it was much more interesting than quite a lot of this card. So
I mean, you're not wrong. But you say that, and yet we go into one of the biggest things that really grabbed my attention anyway. Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens in a steel cage match, which went from 0 to 100 pretty damn fast.
Your words.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll definitely agree. This is definitely very fast going. And granted, Kevin Owens, he is the star of being able to sell and emote like the best of them, really. Essentially, he's just like he's able to have that way of working with anyone, and especially with Braun Strowman, to definitely sell the fact that I don't want to be murdered by this guy. I want to get the F out of here. And that was very evident with this match, and the tactics that obviously the tactics that Owens did to kind of like keep Braun away from him or try to keep him down and whatnot, or keep him tied to the ropes or whatever, was good, and nice little subtle callbacks as well with the suck it and the blow. Yeah,
the only reason I could even think that would be coming out of nowhere is another throwback to this whole Kevin Owens Triple H thing.
Well, yeah,
which makes me think we're gonna see Hunter make an appearance soon.
Really?
I think he'll either be making an appearance in the next couple of weeks on the build up to SummerSlam, or we'll see him closer to Survivor Series. I think we'll be seeing him again soon.
Fair enough. Probably more so closer to Survivor Series with the Super Show in Australia.
That'll be its own contained thing.
Yeah, but Triple H will kind of like have a warm up for that, and then
probably
going into a program with into November. But anyway, but no, the highlight obviously was when the dial shot all the way to 100, like you said, off the final spot where Kevin Owens trying to climbs up to the top of the cage. Braun Strowman's chasing him after taking himself, ripping himself away from being cuffed to the ropes, and ironically enough, it's not 20 years to the day, but 20 years since that all happened. The Foley bump from Hell in a Cell and whatnot.
Which is what that was the vibe I got straight away off.
This whole feud has been quite Foley tributey. Because we had the thing of Owens running away from a fight, which, backing down from the fight because, he doesn't want to get hurt, which is what started with the Orton Mick Foley one. That program started about how, Mick actually wanted to be the first guy that actually was a coward and turned away from a fight. So we had that. We had the equivalent thereof of being, well, let me put it this way. Portaloos are the new dumpster. Because we had essentially the same thing as Cactus and Chainsaw Charlie being chucked off by DX in the dumpster, but said we had Kevin Owens in the Portaloo. We even had a nasty cage door to the face spot, a la the famous China one on Mankind. There was quite a lot going on in there. But yeah, as you say, that last spot was scary.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, obviously they were prepared for it. Obviously, like they are, like with Ellsworth with the cage and whatnot, they try to be as safe as possible with their quote unquote stunts, and it was very evident with the bump that Kevin took through the table. It
throws back to what I said earlier on in the Shark Cage match. They're a massive multi-million-dollar company, and they're not taking care to suspend the air of disbelief. I mean, it's all well and good. Like, don't get me wrong, protect your talent. Yeah, absolutely behind it. But if you're gonna do that, then you also need to at least try and make it look like the crash mat's not there in the table.
I don't think that table broke properly, because it sort of like it kind of stayed attached at the front.
I think
it looked wrong when he landed.
I think Kevin smacked his head on one of the monitors.
Yes, he was pretty much there. Which
he was like going, you bastard, when it went to. Although granted, it still is not as crazy as what Shane McMahon's done twice.
Well, this is the only thing. It wasn't one of Owen's things about criticisms of Shane was like, what are you going to do, jump off something big? And now we've had him being chokeslammed off a very, very big ladder, and the very next pay-per-view he's been chokeslammed off the top of a cage through a table. It's all a bit odd that he's sort of fallen into his own trap of being the victim of the same things that Shane puts himself through voluntarily most of the time.
The irony. But no. But kudos to Kevin taking that stuff. Well, at least we'll hear Shania Twain sing "When" for now. At least.
I don't get it.
There's this whole thing with Shania Twain and Kevin Owens.
Oh right.
It's confusing and is born out
Just
of
look
Twitter.
At his tweets. You'll understand.
Cool. Moving swiftly onwards to match 6 on the main card, we've got the Bludgeon Brothers against the recently reunited Team Hell No.
Okay.
Earlier on in the night, there was a little vignette of attack of Harper and Rowan on Kane. Apparently, Kane's got a dodgy foot at the moment that he's working with, so that was kind of the point of the angle. But essentially, Bryan started the match alone. Kane comes out later, and even with choke slams to both Harper and Rowan still managed to get the pinfall.
Kane went for the tombstone. His leg immediately buckled. There was no way on earth he was doing it. and that's where it all sort of fell apart for them. Going back to that vignette, I quite liked actually Paige's role in it, because she at the end she came in as general manager, and the first thing was she was like delegating or flinging orders everywhere, just like, you go get help, you go get help, and that sort of builds into the good identification of how Paige is acting in the role, which is actually quite a competent GM. And it's sort of built on that, which was nice. But yeah, it was all about Will. It was all about Will Daniel Bryan survive. I really wish they'd stop saying things like that. They're very keen to sort of say in any of these matches, what will Bryan do to survive? And you should think about his career. You should think about his career and his family, and just like, this is still kind of too soon for you to start pushing buttons like this. It's really awkward. It was a match. Yeah,
it was very bog standard. I mean, granted, Bryan got a couple of moments in, like he usually does, but it was kind of pointless, really, because we knew fine that Team Hell No wasn't gonna win the match, especially after the angle earlier.
Yeah. Question: Is Team Hell No that big of a thing?
No,
because the video. I know the video packages for WWE are awesome, but in this instance, they made it look like their reunion was like the second coming of Christ. It was just like ridiculous, ridiculously overblown. Although saying that, it did show something that I'd missed on SmackDown. And if you've not seen this, I heartily recommend you look up the video clip of Daniel Bryan summoning the dark forces to ignite Kane's pyro as part of, like, at the end of one of the SmackDown shows. Look it up. I saw it earlier and it's absolutely hilarious.
Yes. I'll agree, that was hilarious.
That was and there was a really nice, also back to the video, there was a very nice transition when the Bludgeon Brothers like destroyed the TV. That was supposedly showing all the footage of all this of Team Hell No. That was really good. But other than that, it was just a match.
I think the problem is that Team Hell No is a nostalgia act. They weren't super. I think they got over by a weird way back in the day. Can't remember. It was a very long time ago now. But Bryan is just still super over. Like, it doesn't matter what goes on, the man will forever be over. Like, when he properly officially retires, the man will get inducted into Hall of Fame next day. Like, when he's officially properly done and there's no coming back. But it's very strange. Like, it doesn't matter what the man can do, he will forever be over, and anything that he's ever been a part of will also forever be over. Including stuff like Team Hell No. And fine, it's done something to get the Bludgeons back on, but I can imagine that we're just going to see Sanity go for the Bludgeons next time, and we're just going to have warfare.
Again, I don't see how that's going to work, because we have a team whose gimmick is, whoa, we're crazy and loose cannons and we can't be controlled, versus a team whose gimmick is, whoa, we're crazy, we're loose cannons and we can't be controlled. And I also want to point out that the video package for that fight pretty much used all of the voice clips that the Bludgeon Brothers have ever done. Because as we mentioned at Backlash, they've said not a fucking lot, really.
No.
Give the mic to Harper. Harper can rattle off all sorts of crazy shit if you give him a chance.
Yeah.
Well, if they could write it right well enough for him.
I'll just let him do it. Just let Harper do it. Don't give him a script. Just say, give him a couple of bullet points. He'll do it for you. Rowan, keep him quiet.
Again, as I've said earlier, it was very obvious the way the match was going to go in terms of who was going to win that match. And moving on to that, I think it was one of the only other shocker on the card as to who was going to win, which was Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley in what was, I thought, an actually damn good match. You know,
it was sturdy.
Yeah, it's
Let's say
it wasn't that great of a match. I mean, it had probably one notable spot in it where Roman had Bobby Lashley on his shoulders for an AA like move and fling him over the top rope and make him land on the floor quite hard.
That wasn't good.
Yeah, it was like that was probably like the only notable thing I could say on that, and it you know, like Kev said, it wasn't a good thing because
okay,
it looked.
but let me put it this way: in terms of normal Roman Reigns matches, the crowd were behind Bobby. They weren't shouting out and taking the match away from what it was, which I'm going to come back to later on.
Apart from when they started chanting "We want beach balls."
Yeah, okay, fine, but I mean, for the most part, they were invested in the match. The match was decent to watch. Like it wasn't like what we had at Backlash where it was Reigns and fucking Mahal, and it was just fucking boring.
Oh no, it wasn't that at all.
It wasn't as boring as that, but it was still slow. Because there were still moments where it was slow.
You were talking about two big guys, which are essentially brawlers. I mean, the match is going to be slow. That's like turning around and expecting a John Cena match and Roman Reigns match to be fast. It's not. They're brawlers. They're going to be slow. Like you're not going to have your collar and elbow lockups with a Bobby Lashley and a Roman Reigns match. It's just not going to happen. They're going to punch each other until one of them goes down. But what was it? I think one of the big standout things was it Bobby Lashley defending himself from steel stairs? Something you only ever see in the video games these days.
Well, they ran over it, or he sort of his thing was, oh, steel stairs. Well, I'm not going to run into them. I'm just going to jump on top of them, and then Roman just sort of went, and sort of shoved him off. That was a bit strange, but yeah. It was. I got distracted by something.
Was it shiny?
I don't want to comment because of what it is.
I was gonna say, was it Lashley's shiny bald head?
No, it was Lashley's ass. If he adjusted his trunks any more during that match, every 5 fucking seconds.
Blooming hell, Trish Stratus would be eating him alive because of that.
It was like if he did it anymore, he'd have to turn professional. It was just ridiculous levels.
He's just been watching a lot.
Right up there.
You got to remember, he came from the time of the Divas Revolution, so it's like all of it would be from watching the Divas just adjust.
You know what he needs. You know his sweatband.
Yeah.
He needs to get like 2 of them and like sort of put them round there to try and keep the tights in place. Alternatively, don't wear tights like that because
or wear longer shorts.
Yeah. You wear because he had those sort of longer shorts. I think in Impact. I think
he should wear something similar to what Samoa Joe wears.
Yeah, he should wear that.
That or Brock Lesnar.
He should embrace it and go the MMA shorts route like Brock because we're gonna go there anyway.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is that he's Brock Lesnar's understudy. So why not go there?
I would use the old name that was used back when he was a thing 10 years ago, but it's slightly racist in the way it would sound. So
it was well used throughout.
Yes,
that he was a black man who was replacing Brock Lesnar, and therefore it went that way.
Yeah.
But one other thing, that leg drop. There's a moment where Lashley was on the outside and coming back in, and then coming back through the rope, and Roman tried to do like a jumping guillotine leg drop on the back of his head, and it sort of more was like a running arse attack with legs being scissored. It was really weird. Did either
I
of you
think he
guys
was
see
trying.
that?
I was gonna say, I think he was trying to take a page out of Naomi's page book there. You know, try to implement the rear view into his arsenal.
Oh my god. Roman Reigns comes out feeling the glow. At the beginning of I'm the big dog. I'm the big...
Speaking of that, you just
Welcome
reminded
to
me.
my yard.
Can we bring back the point of something that we like to do on this show, which is shit all over the bad advertisements that WWE do? Because quite frankly, that SummerSlam advert was fucking dire. It is the laziest fucking video editing I've seen.
The best response I saw to that was from the Wrestling Memes Twitter account, which was, and they tweeted it and they said that WWE, we're going to promote SummerSlam using memes because we like memes. Also WWE, and they put like a little screen grab. This image has been removed because it used copyrighted content and has been claimed and for a takedown notice. So it is, yeah, that entire SummerSlam thing was dumb, and it's so cringeworthy when they try and force things like that. That they're on the cutting edge. I don't mean the Edge show. They're trying to be hip and with it. Nobody's, well, I was going to say nobody's forced a Fortnite thing in there yet, but saying that Curtis Axel's celebration at the end of the match was he basically did
done that for a while.
Yeah,
he's been doing that on Raw as well.
Yeah,
so.
they're forced more Fortnite in there somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we should move on to. I don't really want to now.
It was Bliss Stratus versus. Did you know Ronda Rousey was here?
Yeah. The Raw Women's Title match of extremeness. I'm gonna say. I mean, can we just get to the point where we have Rousey versus Bliss now?
No. Like first, before we even do that. Alexa Bliss is fucking dumb. We went through 30 seconds of Mickie James passing her a weapon, her going bonk against
like, take this,
Nia Jax, and Nia Jax going, thanks, ring. That didn't work. Give me something else. Okay, empty time, bonk. Something else, bonk. We now have a ring full of weapons. Well done, Alexa Bliss. Your reward is to be gorilla pressed into a trash can, which bloody hell looked like it hurt.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it was okay, the match, but as you say, Pete, yeah, it's like obviously the attention wasn't brought to the match. It was just Ronda Rousey, and of course she would get involved with the match as well. She was obviously gonna get involved.
I'm gonna point out the thing that I said a long time ago on this show. How Rousey was not going to wrestle a single match on Raw, and she would only be there at pay-per-views, and it's what they've done.
But she wants to be treated like anyone else, and she's going to do the work of anyone else.
She's not.
They said that to us, Pete.
She's not even officially wrestled with the company for 6 months, and she has a fucking women's title match.
But Pete,
yeah,
they
and her only other match was at
the case.
And her only other match has been on a live show at MSG, which really...
Did they lie to us? Did WWE lie to us? Are they not making Ronda Rousey a normal wrestler?
They're not making
How can they do that to us, John?
I don't know, Kev. I don't know. I just don't know.
They lied. We've cracked me up. He's gone. So I get one good thing about that segment. That slam on Mickey James looked sick.
It looked brutal.
It looked like it just murdered her.
Is that the one that Rousey did to?
Yeah, the one Rousey just hoist up on something and like a spinning,
the twisty,
yeah,
Samoan drop.
It's missing. Yeah. That looked awesome. Have that as your finisher, please do.
I think that is what they're doing going forward. Actually,
that would make sense. That is impactful. It looks like it kills him. And Nia, poor Nia, who was Ms. Mania, we've seen the levels of afterthought in that match. Actually did a really good point of making sure Alexa didn't hurt herself, because when Alexa came off the top near the end, she came up very short, and somehow Nia caught her and then got her back up, which was great strength from Nia and extremely impressive. And I'm really sorry, Nia, because you were there just to introduce Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, it's very disappointing that her. Well, granted, that was pretty much the case since day one when Rousey came in at the Royal Rumble. The rest of the locker room is there to make Ronda Rousey look good, and one of the big casualties to that has been Nia Jax. And after having that angle for WrestleMania just go swept under the rug, it's like just very disappointing.
Have a nice holding pattern.
Yeah. I'm going to skip onwards and let's talk about Rusev and AJ Styles.
This is actually a match I loved. I love this match.
With, what's his face?
Aiden.
In his,
yes.
in his fucking jacket. Can I be honest with you? The fucking video package for this was amazing.
It was really good. Obviously, but making Rusev like, granted, obviously he's still the heel, even though he's not. He's like universally loved for the gimmick.
If I hadn't said what I'd said on the Backlash thing, and AJ's going to be keeping the title all the way through Christmas because of WWE 2K19, I honestly would have thought they would have given the belt to Rusev with how over he is.
That was... If it wasn't the case of AJ being the champion and being the cover boy for 2K19 this year, I would have said the same. I would have said that Rusev would have won the title this night.
I would have said
many moments where he was there.
Yeah, but it's fan support in a direction that they sort of begrudgingly are kind of going. I'm fully expecting at some point Rusev to stumble across somebody kissing Lana and then be wheeled off of a stage in a wheelchair, frankly, because they don't want to give him that. They could afford to give him the main event at Extreme Rules, which I was astounded by the fact it was like the 10th Extreme Rules pay-per-view they said at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
It's like, dear God, have we really had a decade of Extreme Rules?
Yes, actually, yeah, because what was it? One Night Stand Extreme Rules was.
One Night Stand was the first one, which was
2008.
Which was when Bobby Lashley, they said, won the ECW championship from Vince McMahon, that young up and comer.
So here's the thing, yeah. Rusev is a fucking great worker. AJ Styles works really fucking hard and makes anybody he's in the ring with really fucking good. This match looked so good. I think they will give the belt to Rusev at some point. Like, it will happen, and he will be a heavyweight champion. It has to happen. It's just not going to happen now, and it's annoying because with this whole thing with WWE 2K19, we're very obvious of how it's very clear how the belt is going to go. It's going to stay on AJ for a long time, and they're already making reference to the fact that he's now one of the longest WWE title holders now, which I'm sure we talked about on the last show as well.
It's also going into fact with his upcoming WWE 365 video as well.
Yeah. The one they did this because they did one with Kevin Owens last year as well, didn't they?
Yes.
It's just a shame because it's hard to see anybody that deserves the belt go up against AJ because we know AJ's not going to lose the belt. It's just not going to happen. And it's good. AJ deserves the belt for what he's done. Like, as someone who was a perennial TNA guy, you know, outside the company, he's come in and he's become the WWE guy, and he's walking and he's doing the job, and he deserves the belt because he's that good. But on the other hand, it's a shame that we know that AJ's just not going to lose the belt because of what's going on. And
it's the only downfall. It's the only downside to it. Yeah, like we're gonna get these great matches as well.
No, absolutely, but we could get these great matches with AJ not having the belt but still being in the title picture. This is what we're missing. Like I've said before, the WWE title picture was strong in the 2000-2001 period, especially when Angle won the belt for the first time, and we had 5 to 6 different top tier talent vying for the title week in, week out on Raw, on SmackDown, every pay-per-view. People were just vying for it, you know? We had the Armageddon Hell in the Cell at the end of 2000, which was a fucking barnstormer. We had Undertaker or Rock or Austin or fucking Rikishi going for the belt at that point as well, and it was just entertaining television to watch. And all we seem to get these days is we'll have a couple of mid-carders go for the Intercontinental, the US belt, but it's always seemingly that one guy that's going for the heavyweight belt. And it's not entertaining because look at what we just had with Shinsuke and AJ. It's boring to watch. We need to have more people fighting over it, and they're doing it a bit more with Raw, but unfortunately it's still just coming back down to going, we'll do these multi-man matches to work out who's going to be the number one contender. Cool, we've got lots of people in the picture for it, but not a lot of people fighting for the belt time in and time out.
Wacky mid-carder has a surprise piece of luck. Will he be the one? No.
I mean, the only real time, going back to the 2000-2001 point where we had the wacky mid-carder that was in with luck that was going for the belt was Jericho.
Yeah,
and look how long Jericho had to fight to become the first fucking undisputed title holder in the WWE, and then how long after that did it work? Because they fucked him up and just made it a McMahon fest again until he got given a heavyweight title again.
Do I hear the sounds of Stephanie McMahon being shoved into a storyline unnecessarily?
Yeah, we just need, like, AJ should lose the belt but stay in the title contention picture. But the problem is that we're going to have SummerSlam, and then it's going to be Night of Champions, and then it's going to be Survivor Series, and we're going to hit the same 3-month period that we hit last year where we're just not going to have the championships defended. And it just puts all the storylines on hold because it's just that 3-month period, and then we go from there into wanting to look forward to the Royal Rumble to see who's going to go to WrestleMania. And it's dull, it's boring, it needs to change.
You know what they need to do? They need to get Braun Strowman on SmackDown.
Disagree.
Get something whereby you can get Owens to, as his ultimate victories, he gets him away from him by getting him sent to SmackDown. He's then got the money in the bank, the monster in the bank. I'm so sorry. The monster in the bank briefcase, and you can cash in on AJ, destroy AJ, and then you go into the new Fox era or whatever it is of SmackDown with the big budgets, because then you can do like big stunty things for Braun and stuff.
I think Money in the Bank
that way.
SummerSlam. I think Bobby Lashley is going to go on to face Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think Bobby Lesnar, fuck's sake. I think Lashley...
They're interchangeable, it's fine.
Lashley will beat Lesnar. Because we know Lesnar's on the way out to
He has to. He has to beat Lesnar.
And then I think Braun's just going to cash in. And I think he's going to destroy Lashley. And then I think we'll see Lashley and Braun fight for a couple of months.
I would like to see Lashley Braun, but Lashley being able to kind of stand up to, and basically them just destroying everything.
It's the only way I can see them give Lashley the heavyweight title is if Braun cashes in directly after he wins it. It's the only way I can see them give Lashley the belt. Because Lashley's an older guy, and I don't think there's going to be a lot he can do. His mic skills are very clearly not there at the moment. And while he is a joy to watch in the ring at times, a lot of the times he's not.
Again, if one of these ones where the writers haven't got Lashley's character yet. Again, in Impact, when he was a absolute dick, perfect, wonderful character. When he was his latter run there, of just being this completely arrogant asshole who's just like, look, I'm an MMA guy, I can do all this stuff. All these MMA guys are in the crowd for me. I'm the cross-brand, cross-promotional guy. I am the guy for the media. I'm the guy for everything. I am the guy to give you mainstream press appeal and all these things. But yeah, I would like to see. I would like to see it go that way, but for it to be satisfying, the match then has to be that they literally destroy the ring, they destroy the outside area, like they destroy the ramp. The entire ring area has to be laid absolutely waste, and everything's destroyed and broken. As they just these two humongous balls just absolutely obliterate. They can't obliterate each other, so everything around them gets obliterated.
Yeah, well, they're just punching each other and they're just colliding and not doing anything.
And then the stadium collapses.
It's turning into a Dragon Ball Z fight here.
Absolutely.
Let's move on and talk about the first time the Intercontinental title belt has main evented a pay-per-view in 8 years. Wow. I was really looking forward to this match, this Iron Man match.
I was too.
I was free.
And then we were massively let down by the dickhead crowd.
Yes. Thanks, Pittsburgh.
If my fingers can rocket off of my hands, that's how much I hated Pittsburgh's fucking chanting. My God, what the hell was wrong with them? Now I can understand that they've been there for 3 hours.
Yeah, but with
all those matches and whatnot.
I could understand if they wanted to shit all over a Roman Reigns match, but they didn't. They shat all over Dolph Ziggler and fucking Seth Rollins of all people.
Andrew McIntyre as well.
I mean, yeah, but he.
And then they had the nerve. And then they had the nerve to chant "Thank you, Seth" afterwards.
It's like, It's like, what is wrong with this crowd? What were they smoking? What, between, the AJ Styles match and the start of this match, or whatever, or like 10 minutes into this match. It's ridiculous. And of course the production team trying to stop it by taking the clock
making
away
it worse.
They made it worse.
They made it worse at just the wrong time, because being smart performers like Seth Rollins and Ziggler is, they started to change things round as their timings in the ring for what they were doing, for when they were doing moves, to counteract it. And
they definitely had a cool head while going through that. fucking tripe of attitude from that crowd. It was it's like that kind of like stuff of counting down the clock. That's fine for a Royal Rumble, not for a bloody like Iron Man match. It's like we've never had that problem with you know, the Iron Man match between Sasha Banks and Bailey.
NXT crowd's different.
Yeah, of course, NXT crowd. We never had that problem when it was the 60-minute Iron Man match at Judgment Day between Rock and Triple H. We never had that problem with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart at WrestleMania, because obviously back then, obviously the crowds weren't as smarky as they are now. It's like that crowd was being the uttermost smarkiest fucking crowd ever, and boy, God, were they fucking dicks about it.
And it put them off because there was apparently there's a point in it where I didn't hear it personally, but that people heard when they actually Seth was going to Dolph, just like it's worse now, they've turned it off. And everything they were saying, just like, why have they turned it off?
I'm sure Matthew from Botchamania will probably highlight it during his
no doubt
things where he'll notice the kind of like interactions and whatnot, and he'll make a comment on it. But yeah, it was really like Pittsburgh. For shame on you. Where's my shame stick?
Shame.
Just whack him over the head with it.
Otherwise, if you take the crowd out of it, the match was very, very good as expected.
Yes.
Ziggler and Rollins.
It's one of those. It's one of those times. Miss Kevin Dunn. Hi. You know how you like to mute the crowd when they're booing Roman? We wouldn't have minded this time if you'd muted the crowd.
Yeah.
Because if you take that... I would like to hear back the match again without the crowd audio and just have the commentator mic.
I'm sure there'll be some editing that'll be done to it to try.
Oh yeah, they might probably edit that for the DVD or like future whatever. But no, the only drawback that I have for the match was after the DQ interference from Drew McIntyre, where Seth was only given the one fall decision for one DQ, not after that one the referee didn't call for another DQ and then another after the Claymore to put him up to 5 rather than just sticking him keeping him at 3. So it was like, it
was the rest period.
Yeah,
it was only the rest period. It didn't count. It was in the rest period.
But there was that was quite a massive rest period.
Yeah,
and the timer was still going as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, besides that,
obnoxious refereeing is what.
Yeah. Who I think the guy who was refereeing that match, he was quite a new one. Is someone I've never seen before. But but no. Overall, like the work rate that Seth and Ziggler had for that match was good. It was good for what they've done previously. So yeah.
All I'm going to ask when it comes to Ziggler is, for fuck's sake, unless his intro music is going to interrupt somebody or something, get rid of the right record scratch. The record scratch means nothing.
Yeah.
If he comes out and there's nothing already playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel sorry the most for Ziggler out of this match, because for somebody who's still umming and ahhing about his future, this was like the big thing, and the crowd kind of took it away from him a bit.
Yeah.
And for somebody who's trying to figure out, do I still want to do this? I wonder if this might be something that really tips the balance. Because
I think
he's
it
tried
will.
to, and now it's
because I think he's probably now saying, okay, if the crowd's gonna be like this for me, or towards me, then fuck them. I'll leave. I don't care anymore. I've got a career. I've got a career elsewhere with comedy and whatnot.
It's damaged the chances of him re-signing. It's damaged the chances of us getting an Iron Man match anytime again soon. It's damaged the putting the Intercontinental Championship on as the main event again. And it's through no fault of the performers at all.
You have to wonder if they would have still been the same if the Iron Man match would have been in the middle of the card. You have to wonder if it would have been and had this because they could have quite easily just if that was the case just swapped the steel cage match.
Well, there was big talk about what was going to be the main event. No one seemed to know.
To the behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, Ziggler said it in the pre-show promo that he did that he was in the main event. He was the main event that evening.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, there was, for a very long time, might have been Lashley and Roman, which would have made no sense.
I'm quite sure when it comes to WWE booking, they know that Reigns' match is going on last is just going to piss everybody off, which is why I think they specifically put them in
they wanted to avoid the crowd just being pissed off again at the end of the pay-per-view.
They've seen Roman Reigns matches on last. And they've seen people leave the building because of it. So,
yes.
Anyway,
they'll forget by next pay-per-view, so it'll be fine.
I think we should get on to the last staple of our show and give it its glorious rating out of 10.
Glorious.
Yes, exactly. Mr. Kevin, why don't you start?
Ooh. Well, okay. So, not counting the pre-show. We had we had a tag team championship match where it was okay, it wasn't amazing. We had a singles match which didn't really go anywhere. We had the Oscar match with Carmella. Oh god. A match which then didn't take place, or it did take place for 3 seconds. Lovely pay-per-view. Then we had the excellent cage match. Then we had Daniel Bryan being Daniel Bryan. Then we had the Big Pheasant versus Brock Lesnar's understudy. Back into Ronda Rousey promo segment masquerading as a match. I'm really torn on this one because it was all over the place. There wasn't anything expressly bad, you know. At the same time, and there was a couple of matches that were really, 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 really good, and the rest was kind of average. I'm gonna say a 7.
Okay.
And go on the basis of that.
Mr. Turbo.
Well, I'm kind of like between a 6 or a 7 myself, because I'm feeling the same way. Shame I can't do points.
Yes, you can. Have done previously. Don't see why not.
Well, just. You
do 6.5? I was debating 6.5, my friends. So if you want to do 6.5, go ahead.
Fuck it. Fair enough. I'll break my own rule then. Yeah, 6.5. It's like...
He broke his rule. He's turned heel.
The rules mean nothing to you, sir.
Do wins and losses in...
There are no rules!
Do wins and losses on this internet show about wrestling mean nothing to you, sir?
Exactly.
So yeah, 6.5. I'll say 6.5.
Oh yeah, remember the belt when you're coming here. Remember your belt. Bring the belts when you're coming here in a couple of days. Champione.
All right, Mr. WrestleMania.
I think I enjoyed it slightly more than you, and I'm gonna give it an 8. I enjoyed the pre-show for what it was.
Okay, this isn't the first time that all three of us have had different scores. I think in 16 episodes.
Normally you two agree. Yeah, you're very staunch on how you two agree, and you're pretty on par.
But last time I think it was me and you who agreed. I think Pete, and then John was.
Oh no, I think there was one time where we all came in.
There was the one time where we all agreed.
Yeah,
but
then those are rare sightings.
But this is the first time, as far as I'm aware, where we've all had different marks.
But yes, thank you very much for watching and or listening, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube or the iTunes playlist. This has been a fun little chat about Extreme Rules 2018. You've been listening to Last Minute Kickout. I have been Pete, Titans Creed Nethercoat. You can follow me on @TitansCreed on the old Twitters and twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions, because I let the YouTube channel die somewhere in a bin. Mr. Kevin Eva. Indeed. Mr. Kevin Eva can be followed on @TheKevinEva on the Twitters, or @LastMinContinue, I believe, is the proper Twitter. When the YouTube is YouTube. I don't know. Kev, go. Take it away. You know it better than I do.
The YouTube is youtube.com/LastMinuteContinue. Alternatively, if you're on YouTube at the moment, you're already there, as I've said previously. So please do click follow. Alternatively, we're on Twitch as well. Check it out. But those are they. I'm also on Instagram now, as of like yesterday.
We're all on Instagram. We all took pictures earlier. I'm lying, of course.
Oh, good. Thank you, Rhonda.
But yes, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, etc. Mr. Turbo, you have your own place somewhere on the internet.
Yes,
world.
I do. My place is on Twitter @TurboXLR, as well as on the Twitch channels at twitch.tv/TurboDrive Live as well over there. Whenever I am out of this humble abodes, next time you see me, I will be in a new location, and it'll be all swanky and nice and not as dull as it has been.
He's going to the
few
LMKO
years.
Performance Centre.
Yes. We will be at CoxCon this coming weekend, and we'll be having a nice little meet up and everything else, and a nice catch up in person.
And a fight.
Well, only if the belt's on the line, Kev. If there is by any circumstance any of you guys that do listen or watch us and you're going to be at CoxCon, do feel free to come up and say hello to us. We will be around and doing our own thing. Otherwise, until the next time, I believe the next pay-per-view is SummerSlam. So we'll probably be having a nice bumper two-parter, because like fuck am I sitting here talking about a 5 to 7 hour show in one sitting. Yeah. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Pete Titans Creed Nethercoat, joined as always with one Mr. Kevin the Kevin Eva, and one Mr. John Turbo Finley. And we will see you next time.